So hello all and welcome. And I am the Bachelor Philosopher, also known in some circles as the Realist Philosopher. So how y'all doing today? I hope you're all doing good, fine, and well. And in this video, I wanted to talk about the resurgence of, or the seeming resurgence of, trad wives. So I've been seeing a lot of articles lately, mostly the mainstream media, bashing the desire of some women to return to their trad roles as housewives. Yeah, the same old garbage, implying that if you stay at home to serve your man, to serve your children, you are essentially a slave. Meanwhile, if you go out and work in a corporation and slave away there to somebody you don't even know, have no connection to, personal or otherwise, that somehow is not slavery. That is somehow more noble and less objectionable. There's something good and right and decent about going out and essentially being tax chattel and diluting wages. Yeah, that's a good thing. But if you want to stay home and take care of your husband, no. You're a slave. So we're seeing a resurgence of women who are figuring out that they've been lied to over the years, figuring out that they're not oppressed, that there is no oppression going on, that being a housewife is not them entering into voluntary servitude to their man. Yeah, women who are figuring out that that is much preferable to, say, going to work for a nameless, faceless corporation and essentially enslaving yourself. That's the real slavery, you see. Being a wage slave, being a tax slave. But see, they want you, ladies, to go out there into the workforce. They want you to depress wages. They want you to dilute the workforce. That's what they want. They want your kids to go to that public school. They don't want you homeschooling those kids. They want to turn them into useful idiot sheeple, like they've turned you into. Can't have things going back to where the family is the foundation, the pillar of Western culture and civilization. No, the government needs to have the power. The government needs to have the say. The government needs to have the hand. So we're seeing this resurgence now, supposedly, in tradwives, and we're seeing the media going after them. But I ask this question: are these women who are doing their own type of virtue signaling and thereby being attacked by the media for wrong think, wrong act, are they for real? Are they just chameleons? Are they tradwives in name only, or have they actually overcome their feminist programming and mindset and worldview and actually become traditional wives? Well, let's review this story and see for ourselves, shall we? So, from The Sun, winning wifey. I'm a 22-year-old traditional housewife. My husband comes home to a hot meal and a kiss. Submission is a virtue. So here we have a woman that's saying all the right things, which automatically makes me suspicious. So she's plain Jane, but at least she's thin. She could certainly be more attractive. Lose the glasses, wear your hair down. But I guess if she wore her hair down, that wouldn't be all that practical. It would get in the way of her household duties. So she's okay. I'd say she's average. But what puts her over the top is if she's actually the real deal. She happily embraced all the duties of her role, which also included packing her husband's lunch every day. One good way to save money, a way that many people these days don't actually avail themselves of. And then they complain about not having enough money to start a family, to do the things they want to do. Meanwhile, they're eating out every day. So that's good. She's making lunch for him. Breakfast too, maybe? Dinner? So a young homemaker who delighted in her domestic duties wasn't about to be shamed for her more traditional home life. I gotta wonder, though, is she really traditional? I mean, yeah, she's doing all the traditional duties, but she's only 22, so she just got married. I gotta wonder if this attitude, this approach to her marriage is going to stand the test of time, or if it's just an act. Some might consider it old-fashioned, but she realized her role of taking care of her man and working in the kitchen rather than in the corporate world. Well, not just that, but if she has kids, then she's going to have a child to take care of as well. So, she's not bad. She's not the most attractive woman, but, I mean, if she's really a traditional housewife or traditional woman, that goes a long way. We men, we can overlook. So I know there is this narrative that men are somehow looks obsessed and the shallower of the two genders, but I don't agree with that. I think that women are much more shallow than men because we men are willing to overlook a lot. I mean, men will bang fatties, men will bang uggos, men will bang limbless broads. I mean, not me, but the majority of men seem to be pretty loose in their standards. They'll bang just about anything. Now, of course, commitment-wise, wifing things up-wise, actually, yeah, men are also a little too indiscriminate. We need to be a little more discriminate. But generally speaking, we're a lot less discriminate than the ladies. Now, part of the problem in today's culture is we've got a lot of simps. They're wifing up women that don't deserve it, haven't earned it, and are not traditional like this broad. But this is not a very attractive broad. But I'll tell you something. A lot of guys would like to wife her up. She's 22. She's thin. She seems to have the right attitude, the right mindset. She seems to be comfortable in her submissive role, taking care of her husband. If she's equally comfortable in her role as a mother when the time comes, lots of guys would be willing to put a ring on that finger. Can the same be said for women? If a guy is poor? Huh? No, I don't think so. So, we're Housewise. We're always getting asked what our backup plan is, said Aria Lewis. Wearing a checkered apron with her hair up in a bun, 22-year-old domestic goddess might not have looked like a typical millennial, but she was not about to let anyone hate on her housewifery lifestyle. We're Housewise. We get told we're lazy. Why? Why are you lazy? You're taking care of a house. It's a lot of work if you do it right. You keep that house meticulous every day. You cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for that man. You take care of everything within the household. That's a job. That's a real job. Nothing lazy about it. You want to know what's lazy? Women only opting to go to these cushy, air-conditioned in the summer, heated in the winter, desk jobs where they're doing very little work. Meanwhile, housewives do a lot of manual labor, even with all the labor-saving devices we have. So if anything, it's these so-called liberated broads that are the lazy ones. Because we don't go to work. She explained while working away just in the kitchen instead of at a desk. We're housewives. We also get told that we're our husband's slaves. She said as she put a book down in her lap. That's interesting because whenever you hear a feminist ask whether or not she has an issue with women being housewives, they're like, oh, no. We're all for women doing whatever they want. Until they get confronted with a woman like this, and then they judge negatively. Oh, you're husband's slave. You're his mommy. Yeah. It's always shaming when confronting these women directly. But when you ask them, oh no, I really am for women's liberation and them making all their own choices, so long as those choices agree with my worldview. Backup plan. I don't understand this backup plan narrative because, generally speaking, if a marriage doesn't... by the way, number one, 80% of the time, it's the woman that is filing for the divorce, okay? So if she just doesn't file, He'll continue to take care of you in most cases. Now, say the worst comes to worst and something bad happens to him. Well, that's called life. And that could happen to anybody, working or not working. And by the way, okay, you're a housewife. You don't have a degree. So what if your husband does croak? See, on the off chance that happens, what's your backup plan? You got to get a job and take care of yourself. Basically, the same thing that would happen if you chose career over marriage. You'd have to get a job and take care of yourself. It wouldn't be as good a job, though, without a degree. Yeah, but you ladies waste so much money, spend so much money. You're so bad with money that you could have the same lifestyle, work in a job that required less education. You just have to be a little more frugal and conscientious with your money. So I don't see the differential, except at least in this case, you got a husband, a man taking care of you, and if worse doesn't come to worse, you don't have to go out and do that. You can take care of your hubby, take care of the home, and have kids and real meaning and purpose in your life. Yeah. We're housewives. We also get told we're our husband's slaves. She said she put a book down in her lap. Yeah, a book down. She got done her duties. She'll take a break, do a little reading. Yeah, how about you ladies out there that chose career over a husband? You can't do that, right? Oh, well, we get an hour break for lunch or a half hour. We can do that during our lunch break, too. Yeah. But you don't get to choose when that is, right? Oh, and you're taking care of some nameless, faceless dude, corporation instead of a husband and kids. So I think I know which one I would choose. Aria, whose typical day was spent packing her husband's lunches, cooking his favorite meals, cleaning the house, and beautifying the yard. So they have a house. Wow, okay. I'm guessing the husband's older, maybe? I don't know. Beautifying the yard? Wow, okay. So maybe she's tending a garden and, okay. Packing his lunches, beautifying the yard, delighted in carrying out her duties. Well, you see, she's embracing her nature, all right? She's leaning into the feminine. She's not trying to be at odds with her own nature, as most feminist chicks are, which is why they're so unhappy and on so many SSRIs and so many antidepressants and other drugs. We're housewives. You better believe our husbands come home to a hot meal and a kiss, she explained proudly. Feminists would not approve. Since getting married at 18 to a man 6 years older. See, yeah, I called it. And now she's 22 and he's 28. They're either renting a house or they own their own house. Wow, sounds like a pretty good deal, ladies. She stays home, takes care of all the household duties, has a much easier life and a lot less stress than if she was bearing a certain percentage of the burden in regards to having to supply resources for the household, like going out and working a job. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Aria also seemed to enjoy her other responsibilities of being receptive to her husband's affection and wearing his favorite outfits. Imagine that, getting pleasure out of serving your mate. Yeah, because men don't get any pleasure from going out and working and serving their mate by supplying resources. Oh no, the best marriages, the best relationships aren't built on quid pro quo and each of us leaning into our strengths. Nah. Her ways might have seemed more conservative, but she wasn't about to be put in a boring box. We're housewives. As soon as we have a side hustle, we get told that we're not housewives, but businesswomen. As if we can't be both, she said, while sitting in front of her computer. Yeah, but you really can't be both. I mean, you can afford to now because you don't have kids, but once you have kids, you're going to have to put that side hustle aside if you want to be the best mother you possibly can be. Aria herself had started a photography business at 15, which she ran with her husband before retiring a year ago to focus on family life full time. Good for her. Good for her. And by the way, if those feminists were true to their own principles, they would also be saying the same thing. The devoted wife was enjoyed... What? Typo. The devoted wife enjoys taking care of her hubby and didn't get why everyone was so judgmental. Because your narrative is not the new normal. Because the feminist narrative is the predominant controlling narrative now in academia, in government, in the mainstream media that you as a woman can't rely on a man. You can't. You're going to be afraid. Afraid for your own survival, even though, 80-90% of homeless are men, but somehow, and 80% of the divorces are being initiated by women, not men, but somehow women believe the opposite is the case, that men are just dumping their wives left and right and leaving them to fend for themselves. Total complete lie. But women are made to feel like they are in some way, shape, or form falling short if they go for marriage and being housewives instead of becoming a strong, independent woman. That's why people are so judgmental. They've been programmed to be that way. We're housewives. We get told that we're putting women back in the 1950s. Oh, if only. Wasn't that like the golden age of America? Yeah. Even though women have been taking care of their homes for thousands of years. Well, yeah, got a paradigm shift going on, sweetheart. Not allowed to do that anymore. It seems she couldn't win the public opinion war on domesticity. Of course not. Women got to gaslight themselves into believing that their choice of a career path, the vast majority of them are choosing career paths anyway, is a good thing, right? Women in accountability, they'll never admit they've made a mistake. Whatever hill they're on right now, they'll die on it, and the vast majority of them. People don't change. We're housewives. If we don't have kids, we're lazy, and we have no purpose in life. Not necessarily, but it doesn't hurt if you're a housewife. But if we do have kids, we're polluting the environment, she said. Yeah, that's the big lie. That's another big lie that's been spread. That the overpopulation lie. I've talked about this before. It's a total, complete fallacy. Overpopulation is not a thing. It's not possible. Anyway, Aria continued to go about her daily duties, which included doing a wash in the bathtub. Doing a wash? What do you mean doing a wash in the bathtub? You mean hand washing clothes? In the bathtub? Like agitating them by hand? I guess they have some clothing that you can't machine wash? Like delicates and really delicate stuff? Interesting. Better just to be a cooperative slave, she said, with her hands held out. So she's labeling herself a cooperative slave? See, that's the wrong mindset. I knew something was fishy here, so her mindset hasn't changed any. She sees herself as a cooperative slave. Well, what's your husband then? The dude that's having to go out, has no choice to go out every day so he can put a roof over your head, pay for that mortgage, pay for that nice yard you have, pay for those clothes, pay for that electricity, pay for that internet, pay for that car insurance. What is he? By your own logic, he's a cooperative slave as well, right? We're all slaves to reality and the truth, by the way, and the truth is, you gotta work to survive. Anyway, the article goes on to say, one person said, I'm a housewife and I get judged incessantly for having so many kids. It's intriguing how my life choices affect other people so personally, but I ignore them all and love my life, said one follower. Yeah, because you see, your choices are a threat to their worldview. I think a lot of people, a lot of women deep down know that choosing a career path early on in their lives was a bad decision. And so when confronted with other people who are happy and content, having made a decision that's more in line with their natures, more in line with women's nature, that they get threatened by that. So they feel a need to lash out insofar as to defend their own personal decisions. Because with women that have made these kind of decisions, their life choices, it's not just about, defending those life choices, but it's about defending the ideology that led to those choices, an ideology that has become very closely linked to their own identities, their own sense of self. So they're not only defending their choices, they're defending deep down who and what they actually are and have chosen to be. Why are we so judged? I don't judge working women, this homemaker chimed in. Right. Yeah. You just want to be left alone, right? I have 3 kids and I count it as a privilege in today's world to stay home with my babies, said another stay-at-home and satisfied mom. She also explained another misconception about her marital situation. We're housewives, we live on one income, and people either think it's daddy's money or dirt poor. she said while stirring something in the kitchen. This is another problem with people today. They're so materialistic and they're so caught up in the pleasures of the moment that they really spend far too much money, far more than they need to survive. They're buying fancy gaming consoles. They're buying expensive games. They're getting a new phone every 6 months a year, and it's got to be an iPhone. It can't be an Android. Getting a new car every couple years. It's just absurd expenses, or you know, it never occurred to them that maybe buy a used car and not to go new, because that's an idiotic move and it's extremely expensive. Why are you going to buy a car that you're going to spend $30,000 on it, and once you drive it 5 miles home, it's lost half its value? It's stupid, but people waste so much money to feed their materialistic desires that they use to fill the gap in their life where there would be meaning and purpose from a family and children, that, you know, they then come to believe that they can't have that family and those children because of their desire for all of these materialistic things, which in and of themselves is what's keeping them from being able to afford to have a family and kids and meaning and purpose in their lives. So, yeah, she said while stirring something in the kitchen, housewifing is work. I agree. I can't do all that. Heck, I'm married, but I don't housewife well. My hubby loves me anyway, but wishes I wife better. One viewer said in admiration. Well, it's something you can always work on, sweetheart, you know. Aria detailed another belief she held surrounding her vows. Submission is not a womanly virtue, but a Christian one. I disagree. It's a womanly one, period. She quoted passages in the Bible that supported her views on what it meant to submit within a marriage. Submission never allows abuse. Husbands are commanded to love their wives, which they have for the majority of human history. Men protect their women, giving up their lives for them and cherishing them. That is true. It might have stirred some controversy, but some Arias fans were already on board with her way of life. I get weird looks when I tell other women I'm a submissive housewife, this follower explained. This is quite sad. Many see submission as a bad thing. That's because of the boss babe, you go girl, empowerment, female empowerment movement. It's all about power dynamics. Feminism has a large dollop of postmodernism and Nietzschean thought behind it. You know, that everything is a will to power, that there is no such thing as truth. Truth is relative, and truth is just whoever is holding the reins at any given time. And that person that is the power, they're the ones that decide what is truth and what is lies. So it's just a constant churning and exchanging of power dynamics, and it all depends on who wants the power more and what you're willing to do to achieve it. The will to power. Women have willed themselves to power. No, it's rich, very, very rich globalists who have other interests, and women are just their useful pawn idiot shills. It's a horrible thing. One follower snapped back. Oh yeah, submission is so horrible. It seems that, and yet men are expected to submit, right? It seems that there is yet another trend on the homemaking horizon, the house husband. Yeah. How's that working out for Western culture? According to a Pew Research poll, almost 1 in 5 stay-at-home parents in the U.S. are dads. That's a very bad thing. Very bad thing, indeed. So there we go. The battle back and forth between the feminists and the trad cons continues. Now let me just tell you a little bit about the origins of feminism. The vast majority of women, 95+%, were not interested in suffrage. They didn't want the vote because they didn't want the responsibilities that came with the privilege of voting. They didn't want to be drafted. Okay, they didn't want to have to go to war. They didn't want to have equal footing with a man. And yet, they got it without having to have the same amount of skin in the game. And now this is what we've got. And the majority of those women, the suffragettes, most, if not all, were fat, unattractive, horrible personalities, borderline, schizoid broads, just poor mental health. They couldn't get a man. And so after trying to get one for a long enough period of time, well, trying by their estimation, which wasn't really much trying at all. They got bitter, they got angry, resentful, hateful of men, and then they start trying to convince their fellow woman that you don't need no man, and men are evil, and being in marriage is slavery because I can't get no man to commit to me. That's all it was. And, some rich globalists who wanted more power saw these broads and said, we can weaponize them to our advantage, right? And so they were funded until ever more women joined their ranks until the 60s, early 70s. They started to gain a stranglehold in the media, stranglehold in academia, stranglehold in government, and now we are where we are now. But the vast majority of women didn't want this. It took a lot of time, it took a lot of social engineering, took a lot of psyops, took a lot of money and a lot of programming to get women to believe what's a lie. And now, apparently, we have some women that are pushing back against this. And of course, the media, academia, they got to push back against these trad wives. It's a threat. It's a threat. Women are their most powerful weapon insofar as controlling men. Are they losing that weapon, though? What do you think? Is this trend going to continue to grow? Or is it just going to remain a fringe movement? Let me know what you think in the comments section. Are these trad wives, are they real? Or are they just performative and putting on an act to signal their virtue, but eventually they'll do a bait and switch? What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already. Also at the top of the page you will see my alt tech links. I am the realist philosopher on alt tech. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a like. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think, if this trad wife movement is organic and real, or if it's just another form of controlled opposition that's being pushed so as to further control the population. Anyhow, I'm out of here. I wish you all a good and pleasant day. Take care.